Hey everybody, my name is Mr. Han. My name is Mr. Han. Yeah, I know. It's Mr. Han. Here are our notes on how to graph and write equation using y equals mx plus b. Now, hopefully by now, y equals mx plus b you are comfortable with and you have some of it memorized. Here we're going to be looking at two different things. We're going to be looking at a graph and saying, can we come up with the rule y equals mx plus b? And can we also take a rule and graph it using y equals mx plus b? Now, if you understand y equals mx plus b, that's the equation for linear equations. So right here we can take all lines and write it in the form y equals mx plus b. Sorry about that. So two questions. What does m mean and what does b mean in the equation y equals mx plus b? Well, by now I have said it probably a million times. M stands for growth, or really how it's changing, right? So I'm gonna start saying change. How is it changing? Oh my gosh, sorry about that. I'm gonna put my phone on silent. So we'll call this growth. Okay. But really it's how is it changing? Okay, so how is this line growing? How is it changing? And B stands for what you start with. What you start with. And that's also known as your y-intercept. Okay? So how is it, your M is how is it growing, how is it changing? And B, where does it start? So when x is 0, right, where do you start? On your line, you're going to start on your y-intercept. So here, let's take a look at the first set of questions. We're going to be writing the equations from the graph. So here's a graph, okay? We're looking at this first one, and we're looking for two things. If we want to come up with the equation, right, and I'm just going to write this on the side, y equals, can anyone tell me what, I mean, I say this all the time. What is the equation? What's the equation for linear equations, right? Y equals mx plus b. Okay? So we're going to take this and we're going to find what is the m and what is the b. Okay? We're going to find the m and the b. So what is the growth and what is the y-intercept? And once we have that, we can take our equation and fill in our m and our b. So I'm just going to highlight this in green just to remind us that this is our m, right? And right here we have our y-intercept, which is our b. Okay, so first question, we got to find out where does this line start? And I've told you guys a story, right? So the y-axis, I make that a big point in the beginning of the school year because I want you to know when we solve these equations, you need to look at where does this line start, and this line is always going to start on the y-axis. So we're going to look at the y-axis, right? What's our y-intercept? The line starts right here. So our y-intercept is 0, -5. So our b is -5. And I actually don't like that I did that. I'm just going to put, the y-intercept is 0, -5, but I'm just going to put -5 here. Okay? And from here, what we need to do is find something called lattice points. So here, I'm going to take this, and we'll see, all right, this line crosses the y-axis at -5. That's where it starts. But look, I need to find the next point where it crosses on these crosshairs, and that's called a lattice point. Okay, so the next point of the graph actually lands right here. Okay, notice that this, if I zoom in, it doesn't land on a crosshair. Like, it's not at the corner. It's not at the corner, right? These right here are called lattice points. Let me just be clear. These right here are called lattice points, where the lines cross on our graph, okay? Where when we scale our axes, where the lines cross. So right here, here's a lattice point. This one right here is not a lattice point. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this over. So what we can do is we can just kind of scan through and look, when does the line cross another crosshair. So let's go ahead and find another lattice point. And once we have lattice points, that's what these points are called, we can go ahead and find a growth. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a growth triangle. Go ahead, we move over one, and we see how much does it grow by. And so we can see that it grows by 1, 2, 3, 4. So our growth here is 4. That's how we find our growth. And you're going to see that next one you can move over one and go up 4. I'll draw that right here too. So you go over 1, up 4. So this is growing by 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you're going to see is each time you move over a figure number, right? If this is figure number 1, figure number 2, and figure number 0, it went over to figure 1, went up 4 tiles. Okay? So the equation for this is y equals mx plus b, 4x plus -5. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. We need to find two things. We need to find the growth and where it starts. So let's start by looking at the graph. Where does this line hit the y-axis? So right here, that's our y-intercept. 0, 2 is our y-intercept. So our y-intercept is 2. And how much is this one growing by? Well, it goes over 1. And notice that this line is going in a downward direction, right? When you read from left to right, it's going down. So it's going to be growing, right? Growing or changing, that's what I said. Our m is going to be -1. And oh, let me be clear. Here's a lattice point. That's why I drew that triangle. Here's the next lattice point. Here's the next lattice point. And I could take any lattice points. The two closest one will be the easiest way to find our m. All right, so here we go over 1, -1. So our m is -1. Equation is y equals -1x plus 2. All right, let's look at this next one. We need to find two things. For y equals mx plus b, I need to find the m, the growth, and b, the y-intercept, or where you start. So let's look at where does this line start. I'm going to start moving a little bit more quickly. Oh, I want to use red for the y-intercept. So let's go ahead and do that. Starts at 0, 0. I need to find a lattice point, so I'm going to go ahead and take scissors, see. Does that lattice point? No. Is that lattice point? Yes. Okay, and I could duplicate that. Keep going down the line. Is that lattice point? No. Is that lattice point? Yes. So I found my lattice points. Y-intercept is 0, so I'm going to put 0 here. Let's go ahead and draw our growth triangles. I move over 1, and it goes down by 2. This line is going in a downward direction. The change is -2. So the equation for this is y equals m, -2, x plus our y-intercept is 0. So this can also be written as y equals -2x. I do not need to put +0. All right, let's keep moving. Here are our examples for looking at a graph, finding something called a lattice point. Okay, and that's when it hits the crosshairs. Oops. Come on. All right, these are lattice points. So those are lattice points. All right, and then once we have two lattice points, we could draw a growth triangle, see how's it changing, how's it growing. Next one, graphing from an equation. So we have these equations down here, we're going to have to graph them. So when using y equals mx plus b to graph, start at the y-intercept, your b. And Okay, and then use the growth to plot more points. Every one figure you increase to the right, you go up and down by the growth. So here we're going to just find out. Look at this. Y equals M. What's our M? M equals. What's our B? B equals, right? So our growth is 4. Our y-intercept is 2. So this is a little bit, I mean, it is what it is. We're going to go find on our y-axis, our y-intercept. Where do we start our graph? We always start on the y-axis, and that's something new for you. But if I start asking you, where do we start our graph? We're always going to say on the y-axis. So we're going to look on our y-axis. Where do we start? At 0, 2. So 0, 2 is our y-intercept, and it's going to grow by 4. Now this is key, okay? Each one figure you increase to the right. So when we go over 1, right? The key is you're going from figure 0 to figure 1, or 0 years to 1 years, whatever it is. Right? If you go over 1, how much is it going to grow by? It's going to grow by 4. So it's positive 4, which means it's going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my next point. I'll go over 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And then I could draw my line. Extend my arrows, and I'm done. I should label it y equals 4x plus 2. Okay, there's our first one. Here, let's look at our second one. What's our m and what's our b? So we look at this y equals mx plus b. We want to start at 5. It's going to go down by 3. So here, let's look. Where do we always start our line? On the y-axis. I'm going to look on our y-axis. Where do we start? At 5. And then so I'm going to go over 1, right? And then it's going to go down by 3. So let's go down 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go over 1, down 1, 2, 3. Ooh. So I'll go ahead and plot my points. Go over 1, down 1, 2, 3. Go over 1, down 1, 2, 3. Plot my points. Draw my line. I think I lost it. Yep. Draw my line. Extend it to the other side. Make sure it goes through all the points. Draw my arrows, and my equation is y equals negative 3x plus 5. And my y-intercept here was 0, 5. Y-intercept. Okay. Last one. This one. What's my m? What's my b? Well, look. This one is y equals 0x plus 6. This right here is invisible. So we just get y equals 6. So it's not going to change. It's not going to grow. So this is interesting. M is going to be 0. B is going to be 6. And we'll go on the y-axis, right? I always start my line on the y-axis because my y-intercept is 0, 6. Go find 6. And the thing is, it's not going to grow. So look. And we'll go over 1. And it's not going to go up or down. So that's where my point is. I'm going to go over 1, and it's not going up or down. So there's my next point. And so you're going to see that the line actually is a straight line on y equals 6. And so there, draw my arrows, y equals 6, and my y-intercept is 0, 6. Okay, so now we know how to find a rule given a graph. We look at the graph, we find the y-intercept, so that's key. Knowing where to start your line is key. Okay, I start it here, here, here. And then I know that it goes over 1, up 4, over 1, up 4. This one goes over 1, down 1, over 1, down 1. This one goes over 1, down 2, over 1, down 2. Okay? Just because I didn't do it earlier, I'll just show you. Over 1, down 1, over 1, down 1. Right? Minus 1. This one's over 1, down 2, over 1, down 2. Wow, that's ugly. Okay, so we can find the equation from looking at the graph, and we could also have a equation and graph it. We have to know we start here and it goes up by 4. Over 1, up 4, over 1, up 4, right? Over 1, down 3, over 1, down 3, over 1, down 3, down 3. And then this one, it went over 1, didn't go up or down. All right. So here are our notes. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please let me know. All right.